We have with us a man whom we feel is one of the heaviest. His name is Billy Paul.
Premiering in 1971, Soul Train brought music, style, and unapologetic black culture to American television like never before. It launched stars, reshaped fashion, and created a dance floor that became a cultural revolution. But behind the spotlight were deep tensions, untold stories, and decisions that nearly tore the show apart, long before its final, shocking moment. Here are the 10 surprising facts you didn't know about Soul Train. And stick around for the bonus, because at the very end, a record-breaking tribute proves the soul never really stopped. Number 1. When Soul Train premiered nationally in 1971, it wasn't just another music show, it was a revolution. For the first time in American television history, a program was entirely created, produced, and hosted by African Americans. Don Cornelius didn't just break into the system, he built his own from the ground up. A former Chicago news reporter with no studio backing, Cornelius launched the show with limited funding but limitless vision. He believed black culture didn't need permission to shine, it just needed a platform. So he created one. This wasn't diversity by request. It was a bold act of self-definition. Soul Train gave black artists, dancers, and viewers something rare at the time. Representation that was authentic, joyful, and fully in control. That radical independence didn't just shake up the industry. It became the gateway for a wave of talent who were still unknown to the world. Number 2. Before they changed music forever, some of the most legendary artists of all time stepped onto the Soul Train stage with something to prove. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin, Prince. They didn't arrive as icons, they became them in part because of the show. Soul Train didn't filter them or reshape them to fit TV, it gave them the space to be fully themselves. Vulnerable, powerful, and completely unfiltered. The energy was live, the vibe was electric, and the audience responded instantly. In homes across the country, fans watched these young stars walk, dance, and sing into greatness. Soul Train didn't just document history, it helped create it. But as the show's popularity exploded, not every station in America was ready to embrace its power. Number 3. As Soul Train began expanding into syndication, not everyone welcomed it with open arms. In several American cities, local stations outright refused to air the show. Not because it lacked quality, but because it centered black voices without apology. With an all-black cast, raw dance energy, and music that didn't conform to white mainstream tastes, the show was seen by some as too urban. Behind the scenes, TV executives feared it would alienate advertisers or stir controversy. But Cornelius didn't slow down. He adapted. Instead of waiting for approval, he bypassed gatekeepers and cut syndication deals directly with smaller stations that believed in the vision. Through sheer grit, he built a nationwide presence, one market at a time. The rejection only amplified the show's purpose. What some tried to suppress, the audience lifted up. And once the train left the station, there was no stopping it. And right at the center of that momentum came a moment that was never planned, but changed the show forever. Number 4. Some of the most iconic moments in television aren't written, they're discovered. That's exactly what happened with the Soul Train line. It wasn't part of the original format, it wasn't choreographed, it wasn't even planned. During a break in taping, a few dancers began lining up in 2 rows while others took turns moving down the center with their boldest, most creative moves. It was spontaneous. But once the cameras rolled and it aired, the audience response was immediate and explosive. What started as a playful detour became the heartbeat of the show. Each week, the line celebrated personality over perfection. It turned local dancers into mini-celebrities and transformed a casual dance segment into a nationwide ritual, one recreated at parties, weddings, and school dances across the country. Buried in one of those early lines was a dancer whose smooth footwork quietly made history. Number 5. Most people associate the moonwalk with Michael Jackson, but long before he stunned the world with it in 1983, the move had already made its quiet debut on Soul Train. Jeffrey Daniel, one of the show's most memorable dancers, performed a smooth, gliding step on the studio floor that left viewers mesmerized. His motion was effortless, futuristic, and entirely original. Jackson took notice. He later reached out to Daniel and worked with him directly to develop the move into what we now know as the moonwalk. So while Jackson immortalized it on live television, the soul of the move was born right there on the Soul Train set, years earlier, surrounded by flashing lights, raw energy, and dancers pushing boundaries on every beat. Yet for every moment that dazzled on screen, there was one man quietly holding the entire machine together behind the scenes. Hey, pretty incredible so far, right? If you're enjoying the ride, feel free to tap like or subscribe so you don't miss what's still ahead. Because in just a bit, something happens that nobody saw coming, not even the people behind the scenes. Keep watching, it gets even deeper. Number 6. Don Cornelius wasn't just the host of Soul Train, he was the engine that kept it moving. He produced every episode, booked the artists, managed the crew, oversaw creative direction, from the lighting to the set to the sound, every detail passed through him. This level of control made the show feel seamless to viewers, but behind the scenes, it came at a cost. Cornelius rarely rested. Those close to him said he became increasingly isolated, worn down by the pressure to carry so much on his own shoulders. For over 2 decades, he was the face and the foundation of Soul Train. But that kind of weight isn't easy to hold. His perfectionism helped define the show, but it also became a burden, and eventually, the cracks began to show. At the same time, something new was brewing in the music world, something Cornelius wasn't entirely ready for. Number 7. By the mid-1980s, a new sound was taking over. Hip-hop wasn't just music, it was a cultural force. But Don Cornelius didn't embrace it right away. To him, the genre felt abrasive, less refined than the soul and funk he had built the show around. He worried it lacked the polish and positivity Soul Train stood for. So for years, he kept most rap acts off the show. But as hip-hop's influence exploded, younger viewers began to drift elsewhere. MTV, BET, and other platforms started giving space to rap, and suddenly Soul Train felt like it was behind the curve. Eventually, Cornelius gave in, booking artists like Run DMC and LL Cool J, but by then, something had changed. The connection to the youth, the heartbeat of the show, wasn't as strong as it once was. As the music changed, the dancers who had given Soul Train its energy faced a challenge of their own. Number 8. They were the heartbeat of Soul Train, spinning, sliding, and styling their way into homes across America every Saturday. The dancers weren't just background, they were half the reason people tuned in. Yet behind the moves and glamour was a hard truth. Most of them weren't paid. Many received no money at all, while others got only small stipends, meals, or exposure. Their images were used to sell the brand. Their styles shaped trends. But when the cameras stopped rolling, few had anything to show for it. Over time, several spoke out, grateful for the opportunity, yet disheartened by the lack of recognition. They helped build a cultural institution, but too often were treated like they were just filling space. Eventually, the show's foundation shifted even more because the man who created it stepped away, and everything started to feel different. Number 9. In 1993, after more than 2 decades at the helm, Don Cornelius made a quiet exit from Soul Train. His sign-off, love, peace, and soul, had become a national catchphrase. But behind the scenes, exhaustion had caught up to him. Cornelius had given everything, his energy, his time, his identity. Without him guiding every detail, the show struggled to hold its spirit. New hosts tried to bring freshness to the format, but audiences felt the change. The energy wasn't the same, the heartbeat felt faint. For many longtime fans, Cornelius wasn't just the host, he was the soul. And when he stepped away, something intangible left with him. Still, what truly marked the end wasn't a gradual fade. It was one moment the show couldn't recover from. Number 10. By the early 2000s, Soul Train was fighting to stay relevant. Ratings had dipped. Younger viewers were turning to newer platforms. In a bid to grab attention, the producers took a risk, booking edgier performers with flashier, more provocative styles. But one live performance crossed the line. The artist's outfit, lyrics, and choreography shocked longtime viewers. Parents complained. Sponsors pulled out. It wasn't just backlash, it was a storm. Suddenly, a show that once symbolized cultural pride was facing harsh criticism from the very audience that had once embraced it. Networks hesitated to stand behind it. Without funding and public support, Soul Train couldn't recover. After more than 3 decades on the air, the train came to an abrupt stop in 2006, not with a grand farewell, but with a quiet disappearance. Although the broadcast ended, the impact of Soul Train didn't die with it. It only changed tracks. Bonus fact: in 2012, 6 years after Soul Train quietly left the air, hundreds of fans gathered in Harlem, not just to remember it, but to move with it one more time. Their mission? To break a world record and honor the legacy Don Cornelius built from the ground up. Together, 352 dancers formed the longest Soul Train line in history. Young, old, professional, amateur, they danced down the center with pride, laughter, and full hearts. The music was loud, the energy was contagious, and for a few hours it felt like Saturday morning TV again. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was a message. Soul Train had never truly ended. Its rhythm was still alive. In dance circles, weddings, social media, and the creative spirit of every generation it touched. The broadcast may have stopped, but the soul has never missed a beat. Even after the cameras stopped, its influence never faded. You can still feel it in every viral dance challenge, every retro fashion comeback, and every beat that dares to stand out. If this story brought back memories or gave you a new appreciation for what Soul Train really meant, we'd love to hear your thoughts below. You're always welcome to ride with us again. As Don Cornelius once said, with quiet grace and unwavering pride, we wish you love, we wish you peace, we wish you soul.